Hi, my name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED, and this is Q5 Ham Radio. Today I'm joined by someone whose call sign is legendary in contesting circles. Ranko Boca, 4O3A, has built one of the most iconic hilltop stations in the world in Montenegro. He's a veteran of multiple WRTCs, a prolific contester, and the driving force behind the 4O3A product line. Innovations like the Power Genius XL and the Genius Station accessories that have reshaped how competitive operators build and run their shacks. But before we get started, I want to thank DX Engineering, the company that helps hams everywhere, from new operators to world-class contesters, build better stations. Welcome, Ranko.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, I appreciate you joining me today, and I always like to begin with where people are. I know you're in Montenegro, but where exactly in Montenegro are you?
I'm on the seaside, in the nicest place on the planet. I traveled a lot, but whenever I came back, and I'm landing on the local airport, so I'm very, very excited, understanding that all those fancy places are just fancy, not as nice as the place where we are. So of course, we all like our areas the most, but Boka Kotorska, the name of the bay, we are very close to the Dubrovnik. It's very one of the nicest bays, very colorful, and advertising message for Montenegro is wild beauty. So behind the seaside we have very high mountains, so it's very remarkable.
Well, I'm disappointed that I'm not going to be visiting this year. I had planned on going to Montenegro and Croatia, and then unfortunately a family wedding got in the way, but I hope to see you next October. I plan on going to the Istra contest conference.
It's a nice place, so it will be a pleasure, not only for me, for all those heavy contesters which you will meet in Istra.
So Ranko, let's start at the beginning. I know a lot of people know your name and know your call sign. You've put a lot of your call signs in logs around the world. How did you get started? Was it back in, I'm thinking, late 70s, early 80s?
I knocked on the door of the local radio club. It was 1975, so it's end of elementary school. My first project was a small receiver kit with AC550 germanium transistor, and when I finished this simple circuit and heard station on the medium wave band, I felt like it felt like pure magic, and I was just from that moment up to now, I'm infected with the best hobby on the planet with amateur radio.
So one of the things that intrigues me was that you got started by knocking on that club door, and I understand that clubs were very, very important in that part of the world back in the 70s and 80s. Is that right?
Absolutely. The infrastructure we had in Eastern Europe, and of course, due to the political system in these countries, the clubs and this state organization were supporting all wide range of activities like sports and hobbies like ours, and it was really very, very important. Actually, it was the only place where you can see the receiver and you can feel the amateur radio. So it was kind of very hard and very expensive at that time to buy your own radio station.
So it acted somewhat like a collective then. If people wanted to get on the air, they went to the club and used the club station?
Yes, exactly. You're correct.
So back then in 1975, contesting, was that your thing when you got started, or was that something you got into later on?
Yes, actually I was infected with contesting in a radio club during my high school. I built my first electronic gear, and it turned my attention to the contesting. I was just trying to test the kid, and it happened that it was a contest on the air, and I was very excited to send the high speed with a lot of QSD at that time. And then it showed me how small technical ideas can change operating in a big way, starting from the first electronic key.
So you're building things back in 1975, in the early 80s, and I'm pretty certain that you're an engineer. Was it your training that you went to school to become an engineer?
Yeah, I'm a telecom engineer, basically. And I'm all my life in engineering and in spending a life at soldering iron.
In those early years when you were a ham radio operator, you're a contester, but also you're getting your education, you eventually started a business. How did you balance the two?
Okay, the question is interesting. So, like, my interest over the year, regardless of the mainstream in my company, was ham radio. So, as for many others, ham radio is not my hobby, it's my lifestyle, it's my life. So everything I did and everything I'm doing is dedicated to amateur radio. And of course, over the time, you know, we had a war here, very tough times. Even nowadays, we are living in a very tough times, unfortunately, globally. Regardless what we are doing as the mainstream in the company, I was always developing and trying to switch all my activities into the amateur radio field. And luckily, it happened. It was 2016 when I visited for the first time Flex Radio with a friend of mine, Bill Hain, AA7XT. And it was live on the first side, so I met Gerald, very nice, very enthusiastic, and in a couple of seconds we found a common interest, and that is how everything started. At the same time, at that period and maybe 10 years earlier, we were in broadcast business, installing, selling, and building some broadcast devices like amplifiers, links, and that stuff. So at that time, it happened that digitalization in broadcast field changed the market completely, and it was perfect time to switch the activity, our mainstream, from the broadcasting on the amateur radio, and from then we are, let's say, upgrading, and here we are.
So, Ranko, you mentioned the war, and I know that you were operating, I think, as YT6A prior to the war. I think you left the country, went to Hungary for a while. Tell me about that. Tell me about the lead up to the war and your amateur radio activity prior to that, and then what that move to Hungary was like before you came back home again.
It was a time, you know, I grew up in YU land, in ex-Yugoslavia. So my emotions are, we were educated in the family, in the school, on the street, to be wide open, I didn't know what the border is, I didn't know what the nation is, and this is that kind of emotion I have today. It's really something. I understand that we will never ever have such country as Yugoslavia was, but the brotherhood in amateur radio is still on the power. So I never have had any problem because of the war and political situation. All my friends before are the friends nowadays, and you will see in history that you will see all ex-YUs and surrounding countries on the same place behaving normally. I won't say, I don't want to mention it as something which is extraordinary. It is a normal.
So, Ranko, talk to me about this station that you have now, and what was in your mind when you decided that you wanted to build a hilltop station that would compete on a world level?
Like every contester, I was at that time more than nowadays excited to come on the top level to win the contest, and of course having as big as possible station is kind of mandatory. I was pretty lucky that I found a good spot. It's my hilltop, which is a little bit far away from the coast. You know, in the surrounding in direction to the north, we have big mountains, which is a big obstacle. So this is the reason I was looking for something which is more into the sea direction. I found it, and it's just a consequence of my craziness and excitements, and we build up real big stations. Unfortunately, it happened that in 2017 we had a wildfire around, and everything burned. A fire was coming a couple of meters close to the house. I lost all the outside infrastructure, cables, and everything. And so it was at that moment, at the same time, I was extremely busy with developing Power Genius and that stuff. And my focus was, and still is, on company business, on developing new devices. I'm feeling like I'm living in a big radio club. So because all my projects are actually amateur radio projects. Recently we are developing some very, very exciting products which I believe will change infrastructure of every amateur radio station. So it's a kind of business topic. So I don't think it's time to let's say discuss more about this. But I mean, the most important is that I really have a good feeling in the company, doing what I'm doing. And now this year I will start with rebuilding. So I'll have more towers. Everything is ready. Towers are on the spot, as well as the antennas. It's just a matter of time when everything will be back on the air.
So I definitely want to learn more about 4O3A, the company, but I also want to understand a bit more about this contest station, because I understand that it is difficult to get to, that it's somewhat of an arduous trip to get there. And as a matter of fact, I think, get there by helicopter on occasion. Tell me about that. Is it pretty remote? Is it just the road access is difficult?
Road access is pretty difficult. Actually, we have last 4 kilometers are very ugly. As Linda, K1ZD, Linda Sumner, wife of Dave, she used to say, it's almost the road. Then we used four-wheel drive, 4x4, and they said, actually, it is the reason why I bought the helicopter, but not about the helicopter. I went to the training. I got the PPLH license, and it's really amazing. Instead of spending 2 hours one direction and 2 hours to come back, which is total 4 hours, and whole days actually spent and dedicated for visiting the station. Now I'm there in 3 minutes, taking off from my garden, and in 3 minutes I'm on the spot, because we have to use a road around the bay. Station is just 9 kilometers away from my spot, but I have to go 45 kilometers by the road.
So Ranko, I think you're the first operator I've talked to that actually gets to his station via helicopter. I talked to Craig Thompson, K9CT, during the CY9C de-expedition, and they got there via helicopter, but that was a de-expedition, so that's pretty amazing. But you still had to bring all that equipment in. So are you trucking all the towers and antennas, all that up via that road?
Yes. No. It was not a big deal to bring the infrastructure, the equipment, but to construct the house, to bring all the concrete, the sand, all this. No, it was really, really very challenging.
So Ranko, tell us what is actually there now. I know it's gone through a lot of evolution, and I was reading that not everything worked the way that you had hoped initially. But tell me what you have there now for towers and antennas and equipment.
At the moment, I have three towers, 2 are rotating, 36 meters each. And we will put up another additional 3 towers. At the moment, I have antennas for all bands. Nothing extraordinary for some top-notch contesting, but let's say just to be active and to do some DXing. The plan is to build up 4O3A to be twice bigger as it was. So you have to improve. So if you don't have a challenge, you are limited yourself, so that then you don't have this excitement, so which is part of our hobby.
So Ranko, I've talked to several contest owners, and many of them have built their station for different purposes. Some are multi-2, some are multi-multi. What's your sweet spot?
Everything. So if you are limiting your infrastructure just on, let's say, single lob, then it doesn't have sense. So it's not a big difference. It's just a little bit more or different approach in engineering of your station to have it capable from single lob up to multi-multi.
So let's move to 4O3A, the company. You've talked a little bit about that. I think everybody who's listening to this know your products. You have a great reputation in the marketplace. Tell me about that. Tell me the process you went through to, for example, make Power Genius XL as well known as it is today.
Yes. Okay. So first, I would like to say that working in the amateur radio market is challenging. It's small but very, very demanding market. So, and chance to have success are not so high. So my team and I try to match our enthusiasm with reality. So we solve real problems with we are trying to use modern and high quality design, and we still aim for a fair final price. So our main goal is to give to the market and to design everything to be broadcast quality, which is opposite to the price range. So far we are successful. We try to stay close to commercial quality while keeping our products affordable for hams. And we will never, ever try to produce and to design something which is poor from technical point of view, poor quality. So rather we will not produce, but if we produce, we will try to follow this pattern. My company is a small one. We have about 25 employees, including R&D production. In SkySat, actually the name of company is SkySat. And the second company which we recently opened is dedicated for metal industry. And there we are starting to produce towers. Now we will be able to produce enclosures for our products, which gives us more flexibility because now it's under our control. And this is where we are. I will never. I'm trying not to expand size of the company, so I'm trying to organize the business in a way that we have subcontractors, even if it is at the moment a little bit more expensive. It's better because we are then we can easily switch, we can easily stop production, we can change product line. So that is the philosophy. So and I will repeat again, most of these guys here, their hobby is amateur radio, and we are all really enjoying in what we are doing. I didn't maybe answer the question about the Power Genius, which is very colorful. So the Power Genius is, let's say, our business opener, and one product which is far above the usual quality of amateur radio products. So we have very rigid, very strict, and very intensive quality control. Beside the design and quality of the product, inside the company, each and every unit goes through calibration process, and after the calibration process and testing process, we are heating amplifiers about 1 hour on the full power in different circumstances, from load on 50 ohm and up finishing about half of hour is a test with 3-to-1 load, where we are just pushing everything on the limits, and it pays off with the fact that we are really recognized, and our Power Genius XL is definitely the best amplifier, technically speaking, on the market.
And are all your products manufactured there in Montenegro?
Yes. Some sub-modules we are receiving from subcontractors, but process of assembly, quality check, and final tests are here executed, and we have our own test benches and our own software for final testing and calibration. We spend a lot of resources, maybe 8 months, in writing a software and designing these test benches, but now anything is depending on the human. So when we are testing Power Genius, everything goes automatically. So the software is switching band, increasing the power, keeping the power on the program period of time, switching another band, and then going like that in the circles by the pattern we define by software.
So talk to me about distribution. That's got to be a challenge for a company like yours located in Montenegro, but you have an international market. How do you distribute?
But one of the most important and fundamental things for us has been our partnership with Flex Radio, which happened from 2016. It's almost 10 years. That collaboration has been and remains a cornerstone for both companies. It has given a lot to us and also to the amateur radio community as a whole. For more than 8 years, we have worked closely together with Flex Radio, sharing knowledge and creating real benefits on both sides. And as logical improvement, recently we signed a contract with EX Engineering, which is a different profile of company. They are a trade company, but the biggest one, the largest one in North America, and EX Engineering is appointed as the second exclusive distributor in North America. Beside the Power Genius, Tuner Genius, and Antenna Genius, which are sold through the Flex Radio, so far the EX Engineering will sell all range of our products, including the newest antenna towers and accessories.
What do you project for growth over the next 3 to 5 years for 4O3A?
It's a very, very difficult question. To be honest, I'm not sure that I know the answer. So we definitely, every company, as we are, have to be always, all the time in the process of developing and bringing on the market new products. That is what we are doing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you say it, we are a little bit late with launching the products we already announced in last year in Friedrichshafen and some of the newest this year in the Friedrichshafen. The reason is, regardless of the complete global situation and the problems with supply chain, we learned from the Flex Radio, and thanks to them, we learned that the procedure of quality controls, they are using their alpha group to test all their new softwares, new products. So we are doing the same. It makes the process to take longer, but the final results is much, much better. So we don't want to end up with any product with some bugs or problems, hardware or software, doesn't matter, on the market, because then the consequences are very painful. So, but hopefully we will have in Q1 of 2026, we will have new products. One for me, which excited me the most is, behind my back is Station Manager. It's maybe the future of SkySat for next couple of years. It's universal remote control to control station, not the radio. It controls everything. It controls radios, any type of radios, any Kenwood, Yazoo, Flex, NESDR, whatever. Our Genius devices, of course, natively it's integrated. Rotor controllers, any device in the station with RS-232 or LAN connection. So, and then when we launch Station Manager, our main focus will be on upgrading the software and integrating as many as possible devices which are widely used from different producers and with different protocols. So to make everything in order, it's really very hard task, but Station Manager is definitely the device which will make possible integration of almost any hardware in the station.
So I'm a sucker for a good business story. So I know I could go down a rabbit hole and talk to you for another half an hour about your business. But let's move back to contesting. It's not possible to be in ham radio, in contesting for 50 years without some strong opinions. So I'm curious, what's your opinion about where ham radio stands today, but specifically contesting, and maybe how contesting might evolve or change or adapt as we try to keep this hobby going on in the future, and maybe focus on the majors like CQ worldwide. What are your thoughts?
First, I have impression that our hobby is very healthy. So number of logs received for different contests are increasing or not decreasing, so slightly or depending. And it's kind of statistic fact, so it's obvious. Also, I think that FT8, which I was very resistant about the FT8, like any old-fashioned guy, old-fashioned contester. But then I understood, first I started to use FT8, and I recognized the beauty of technology. It is the best software I have ever touched in my lab. So accuracy, it's just unbelievably good software. So technically speaking, it's amazing, masterpiece. Then I understood that we were trying over the time, always globally, to attract the youngsters and to bring a fresh blood into the hobby. And one of the way we used was VHF class. And with VHF class, it was kind of just misapproach, or we didn't have a tool. We had just VHF at that time. And then you are bringing some youngsters which are amazed about with technology and communication, and then you are just limiting them on the VHF, on the local repeater, and after some time, any, let's say, normal profile of youngster excited with communication technology, we just leave the VHF because it doesn't bring you anything exciting. So you are always meeting the same people. Hello, Bill, here is John, how are you? How is your wife? So that was a kind of misapproach. Then FT8 is something which is completely opposite. So you're just bringing something without the limitations. So FT8, now you can, someone who doesn't know CW or he's not operator, suddenly he can communicate with the whole planet without the problem. And of course, then because he's not limited, he can build HF antenna for bigger, smaller, so, and then interests are growing without the limitation in the rules or in what you gave them on the plate. So, and that is the reason why most probably the main reason why in some countries hobby is growing, and out of FT8 initial interest, we are starting to see much more youngsters coming and willing to learn CW, to start to operate in the contest and stuff. And it is good. I completely changed my opinion about the FT8.
Tell me about some of the major contests that we're experiencing now. Do you see any changes on the horizon for those contests?
We have actually, world is changing very quickly. So if you go 20 years back, so we were very rigid about something which we have as normal nowadays. So those changes are something we have to accept. I published some Facebook post with my proposals for some changing CQOY. Actually, CQOY is our diamond, the best of the best. So of course, CQOY is something which is by itself the best of the best. But over the time, I see that we have to do some changes. Not we, I'm just proposing. So CQOY committee has to consider the voices of the community and then probably maybe to change something. So I have three major areas to be improved. The first is shorter operating time. So I want to remind all contestants that when CQOY began, the 48 hours format did not aim for people to operate without a break. The goal at that time, after the World War II, it was it 48 or something like that. The goal was to cover 24-hour cycles so that the global propagation could equalize, at least statistically. So it was the goal why the format was 48. And over the time, we went to extremes. As is any sport, we went to extremes. Today, anyone who wants to win must endure the full 48 hours, which is so you can maybe give you a comfort of sleeping a couple of hours, 2-3 hours. That is first not healthy, not human, and it was not the goal of CQOY contest from the beginning. So the goals should not be a marathon. So we have a sport discipline called marathon, which is even easier to be fulfilled than 48 hours contesting. Do you agree? The goal should be to test operator skill and knowledge. So this is the goal. So shortening the total operating time will protect health and still keep fairness. So is it 30 or 36 or whatever, but just to make it to be human and from medical point of view acceptable. So then the next area is fair scoring. So by fair scoring system, a fair scoring system is the best motivation for many operators who are now disadvantaged by location. I will ask one simple question. In a contest, do we measure operator skill? We do. So the point is to measure the operator skill. If yes, then what are we measuring? We measure how fast and how accurately an operator logs QSO from that view. So if DL station, German station works another DL station, is that operator skill any easier than working 4O, JA or W1? It isn't. So the operator logs 5 or 7 characters either way. And for operator skill, it is the same task. So there is no any explanation or basement for making the difference in which station operator is logging. So my view is simple. Every single QSO should give the same number of points, and that is the most fair approach. We can make some variation, of course, without good antennas then, and a strong station that can work a lot of DX. No DL or W3 will gain a special advantage by doing many local QSOs. Still everything is the same, and station quality and propagation will still decide who can reach the rare multiplier, but the basic points per QSO would be equal in some way. So, and the last one, which I'm excited about the most, is a new category, which is single op two band, which I think we should explain a little bit more. It's single operator two band. We know single op all band is today the most demanding and the most exciting category for everyone who likes contesting. 2BSIQ technique opened the new limits, and many operators would love to compete at that level. So this is something which we don't need to explain more. But single pole basic is out of reach for many people. Why? To stay competitive, you need a full station with good antennas on all 6 bands. So that it means that you have to make very large investment. Also, it also means a lot of physical space for towers and antennas. And of course, it's not affordable to majority of operators because of these two reasons. In my region alone, I'm talking about XYU, I know at least 30 excellent operators who would like to contest a single pole band, but they simply do not have the resources. So I asked, what is the minimum need to enjoy 2BSIQ and to feel like single pole band? And the answer is very simple, it's 2 bands. With only 2 bands, you already get a single pole band environment, band choice, timing, rate management, multiplayer strategy, etc. So there is no need to add many variation or complex rules on single of 2 bands. Keep it simple. If we let operator to choose any 2 bands, so the unique one category and then let them to choose any 2 bands, the category becomes even more interesting. So strategy becomes a key part. Which 2 bands will give the best result from my location for certain propagation with my antennas in this condition. So that is why I propose one clear unique category single of 2 bands. And I saw a couple of contests because we are discussing this topic locally in the region. So a couple of local contests already have single of 2 bands category. So this SO2 band would bring many great operators back to active contexts. So what is the benefit? So the key issue is we want to improve the context. What is the benefit? So we will have many great operators back in active contesting. 2 bands are more affordable to them. I know at least 10, 15 of them, they will build up their stations. 2 bands needs, of course, less space, which is also very limiting factor. And 2 bands create a new kind of excitement, the challenge of picking the best 2 bands for the best score. It keeps the spirit of high-level contesting. So you are almost the single of 2 band, but it lowers the barrier to entry in a smart way.
Ranko, very intriguing ideas for sure. And I want to switch gears just for a second because I know we're running short on time. I had posted something on social media, it's probably a couple months ago, about a particular person that I had interviewed, and you weighed in and said that that person, and you named another, were amongst the top 3 contesters in the world. And I reached out to you and asked you, who's the third? And you refused to answer it. I thought that was very smart of you. But I'm curious, just for the sake of the audience, you've been around for a long time. You've been very involved with contesting. Who are the, and you don't have to rank them, but who do you think are the top operators in general in the world right now?
So, okay, my 2 favorites I already pointed out, K1TO, Dan and Jeff N5TJ, for millions of reasons. So contesting is not just operator scale. Contesting is more than this, and these two guys are really presenting our hobby in the best way possible. So, and then after that, from my point of view, it won't be fair to say who is the third, but I could say who is the next 10.
I'll go for that.
So there is no doubt that we have Dan and N5TJ, Chris K1TO. We have in Europe CT1 ILT. We have E7DX. We have millions of them. So all of those well-known contestants are in the same basket. But I will just, at the end of this interview, I will try again to put the light on single op2 band, on all of these possible changes and improvement in secure worldwide contests, saying that the best two operators in my area, in XYU, beside the many others, so I don't want them to be angry on me because I didn't mention, are Mladen YT6W, Y7AW, his ex-call sign, and Goran YT7AW. And they are exactly the profiles, the persons they would like to have a single op2 band and to come on the spotlight of winning in the next period. They are both our HST's champions, extremely good operators. So these are two favorite ones from the area for me. Million of my friends. So I don't want to continue because I just forgot someone, so it doesn't have sense.
Well, I appreciate you venturing at least that far. Ranko, I really appreciate you spending time with me today. And again, there's so many more topics to cover. I mean, I'd love to talk about your WRTC experience in the future, but we're just running out of time. I promise to have you back if you'll join me again.
Yeah, WRTC is one very good topic for maybe some future discussions.
Well, I'll definitely have you back. Ranko, thank you.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
My name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED. I've been talking to 4O3A, Ranko Boca in Montenegro.